If you're hurt, injured, don't waste time. Gary Johnson cries for every dime.
Welcome to Simply the Law, a program created by attorney Gary C. Johnson. Simply the Law provides free legal advice and encourages happiness and quality of life. Now, here's Simply the Law with Gary C. Johnson.
Hello, everyone. Welcome into Simply the Law. I'm Keith Casebold in a warm studio with my good friend and your host, Gary C. Johnson.
Hey, guys, gals. How you doing? Everything going okay? Trying to keep from fighting? How's the New Year resolutions coming, by the way? Any of you broke any of them yet? Okay, Keith's laughing. He just did himself in because I'm going to ask him to give you a report on his. Keith, give us a report on your New Year's resolutions.
Oh, what? I was just going to lose 10 pounds in the first 2 weeks. I've gained 1, but I'm trying. I told Gary I went to the YMCA, which was a big thing for me. I even sent Gary a picture. I got on the bicycle. Do you know how hard it is to ride that bicycle? That's not easy. I thought that would be easy. I'm trying. I am trying. I'm failing, but I'm starting over each day.
Well, he's only gained 1 pound out of the 10 that he's going to lose.
Yeah.
That's excellent. Excellent.
Thank you.
Good result.
Thank you.
Perfect. Any of you have that same problem, my friend? I had him report because I suspect some of you've got that same exact problem, right?
The great out you get is whenever Gary asks me about this, I keep telling him, Gary, I'm only human. I'm only human. What are you expecting from me?
Well, maybe a little willpower would help.
Maybe.
You know, human beings do have willpower, Keith.
Yes, I know that, and I'm reminding myself the greatest thing about it is, even though I failed, I'm started over today. So every day we get to live, we get a do-over, right?
We're going to limit Keith's do-overs. There's getting to be too many of them. So, okay, back to business today. As I've said on the program many times before, that when I get ready to start recording, something will pop into my head that I'd never thought about or was even considered doing on the program. And for some reason today, when I was getting ready to do this program, it popped in my head that some of my friends, or at least one of them, has lost a loved one recently, and that they're grieving. Therefore, I want to say to you, remember back when, if any of you were watching the programs, when I talked about the book by Khalil, Khlil Gibran. He was a Lebanese Christian that wrote about joy and sorrow. And he said in the book that your sorrow and joy are equal. That when you feel sorrow and grief, that is in exactly the same amount of the joy you had because of the person being in your life, that they balance. And that you should embrace your grief and cherish the fact you have the grief because it is nothing but the opposite of what the joy you had. So the greater your grief that you're feeling, the greater the joy you had from the person being in your life. When someone directed me to that book probably 25 years ago when I was grieving, it helped me to understand that. And so I'm passing it on to you, my friends, the one or ones of you that may very well be grieving. In fact, on my radio show the other day, it popped into my head that I had to say it on my radio show too. Because it maybe it's that time of year or whatever. But remember, your grief that you're feeling, it's okay. It's something that you should say, oh, good, I'm being able to feel this grief because of the joy that I lost.
Gary, this is so important because until you pointed this out to me, most of us were always raised, oh, you got to be strong, you got to be tough, don't show your emotions, try to keep it inward. And after you read this to me and pointed it out to me, basically what you're saying is, it's okay to cry hard, grieve hard, because when you do, what you're doing is saying, this person was special to me. They brought me a lot of joy. They brought me a lot of happiness. And you don't need to hold it in. Let it out.
And understand that the amount of your grief is directly in proportion to the joy that that person brought to you during their life. And it's okay. It's okay. That's all I've got to say on that. Now, what else has been going on out there in the world? Anything of any significance? I hope that none of you have been criticizing, condemning, and complaining. And of all the rules I've got, the one is don't give unsolicited advice. And I may have caught myself trying to break that rule the other day. But I caught myself just in time. So I'm going to re-mention that to you folks. Unsolicited advice is nothing more than camouflaged criticism. When you say to someone, when they buy a car or whatever, boy, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you buy this one? Why didn't you get that? Then what you're saying to them is, you stupid fool, you. And you're criticizing them.
You know, when you pointed that out on the radio program, and you did a little challenge on the radio program for all of us to watch for the week, it was amazing at how many times I watched people break the rule of unsolicited advice on simple things. Mm-hmm. Why did you order the grilled chicken? You know the salad is better for you, even at lunch. Or I found people doing the unsolicited advice, why'd you choose that career? Why are you taking those classes? Why are you dating that individual? Why'd you buy that color of car? But when you pointed that out, on a daily basis, we have people that are giving unsolicited advice, and it is criticism. You're right.
My friends, there is not a doubt in my feeble mind that you're doing it because it's just like taking a breath of air. What I'm saying to you is, watch when you're doing it. Try to stop yourself from doing it. Because if someone has not asked for your advice on something, and they want you to reaffirm what they did, it's not going to hurt you to reaffirm what they did. They buy a car, it's because that's the car they wanted to buy. They ask you about what you think about it, you should say, wonderful choice, excellent choice. I would have never had sense enough to buy that car myself. You did good. Now that's the answer. And you may want to say, well, this is crazy. Boy, only a fool would buy that car. Don't do it. Don't do it.
It is so hard, and it's disguised by this well-meaning. Well, I was looking out for them.
Well, it's your excuse to criticize.
Yeah. Now let's go a step further. What happens if somebody comes to you and says, okay, Gary, I need your advice on this? Is the first thing we need to do is say, well, what do you think about it?
You need to say, yes, what do you think before you give your advice? And then if they are really, in your opinion, truly off base on what they're thinking, analyze it with them rather than saying, you should do this, 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 and this. Because remember, folks, the revelation that old Gary had here, we are so unique on the outside that nothing will ever be like us again. We are equally unique on the inside. Yet we want to judge everyone by what we think and what we perceive without the vaguest clue of what they are perceiving or what they're thinking, and not even accepting the fact that they're different than us. when they are, inside and out. It's the way the good Lord made everyone. He didn't make any of us alike inside. He didn't make any of us in our brain. He didn't make any of us like on the outside. But we forget that, and we want to judge, and we want to say, boy,
You also pointed out the other day on the radio show about the different types of intelligence. So when you're talking about us being differently inwardly, just like we are outwardly, we have different types of intelligence than each other.
Let's take a break and come back before we talk about that.
You'll want to stay with us because I thought this was a revelation that Gary come across that was very important. Stay with us. Gary C. Johnson, Simply the Law, right after this break.
People are asking, what is judo law? Judo is a martial art that uses the opponent's strength to defeat them by not opposing it directly. Gary C. Johnson created a method of practicing law based upon that principle. It worked so well, he named it judo law. To see the results, go to GaryCJohnson.com. To have Gary and his team of judo lawyers go to work for you, dial pound HURT. This is an advertisement.
Welcome back into the Simply the Law. Thank you so much for spending time with us. When Gary and I are talking about some of these little things in life, you might hear me chuckling and laughing a little bit. I'm not making fun of the information. I'm laughing because these are mistakes I make on a daily basis, and doggone it, I know better. He's told me for 20 years, and I listen, and I try to practice it, and I really do, and I still make those mistakes.
We all do, Keith. It's not just you, right, friends? We all make those mistakes. We sometimes don't even do the 24-hour rule, do we? How much trouble did you get into when you didn't do the 24-hour rule? Huh? Bunch, right? Every time. Mouth. Ooh, controlling that old mouth is tough, isn't it? Just remember, 24-hour rule. If you have any emotion at all involved in the response, don't respond for 24 hours. And it will be exactly the opposite what your response will be, and it'll keep you out of trouble. Okay? And that's the good thing. We don't want to be in trouble. Can't be happy if we're in trouble, right?
Now, that would be under the heading of social intelligence, correct?
Okay. There's a guy, his last name is Goldman. I'm trying to remember the name of it. He's written 3 different books on intelligence. One is on ordinary IQ intelligence. And someone could say, well, he's got a high IQ, therefore he's special. Or she has a high IQ, therefore she's special. Then you have the emotional, the IQ, which is how you respond to things emotionally. And can you adapt and can you handle things emotionally? Okay? Then what I consider the most valuable IQ of all is social IQ. Now, each and every one of you watching is probably superior in at least one of those those IQs. You may not have an IQ of 160. You may have an IQ of 70. No big deal. Because when we switch over to the emotional IQ, you may be a 180, if you could measure it. Or the social IQ, you may be a 200. You may be the person that everybody likes that's got the social skills that are necessary to survive. Good Lord gave you one of them. And He gave you one of them a little bit better than other people. In other words, He didn't just say, I'm going to take away your smart IQ and not give you something to replace it. That's where we make a mistake in life. You can't just judge someone's intelligence based upon their IQ. You're saying, Gary, you're crazy. I'm not crazy. I've watched it all my life. I've found that people that can function best at lawyers are the ones that's got a medium IQ, but good emotional or good social skills. Those are the ones that tend to be successful. I bet you it's that way in every profession. As I've said before, I read the statistics. Every single human being has something they can do better than 10,000 other people. Some talent, something. Each of you's got it. Now, you may have ignored it. You may have wanted something different. You may have said, no, I'm not going to do this. Big mistake. You need to work with what you've got to work with, which is you. You. You don't have anything else to work with but you. That's why I've had that program that says you need to love yourself, because yourself's all you got. You don't have anything else.
I love what you've pointed out with these 3 levels of intelligence, because a lot of our friends who have great social skills would say, oh, I wished I had that high IQ, not realizing that the person that is the doctor or the doctorate in education or whatever would say, if I could only go out and have friends, if I could only be invited to a dinner party or go watch a ball game with buddies, because they crave for that social interaction. You are 100% right.
Angie Owens, one of the attorneys in my office, has what I consider probably some of the highest social skills IQ of anyone I've ever seen. I mean, she just does. She's just skilled at it. And she doesn't profess to be a genius otherwise, because she's got sense enough to know what her talents are. Dustin Williams in my office has an I guarantee you, extremely high IQ. He knows all the law in the whole universe, can figure anything out, a genius at doing depositions. And he was getting ready to do a deposition the other day. And I said, Dustin, I didn't know that was the case you were working on. He said, it's Angie's case, and I'm doing this deposition for her. He said, she just doesn't really get what we're doing in this deposition and blah, 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 as though he may know something she didn't know. And I looked over at him and I said, Dustin, let's figure out which one of you is the most intelligent. He said, what do you mean? I said, well, which one is studying to do the deposition?
So are you saying a little Tom Sawyer with painting the fence came in, that the social intelligence said, let's allow our good friend to do this? I see where you're going with that.
So that's just an example of how it works in real life. And Angie will do a fantastic job for her client, because she will go wherever she needs to go to get the things that she may not be the best at, so that when her client's done, they will have gotten the best representation they could possibly get. And that's brilliant social intelligence.
Because she recognizes her talent, her abilities, and the talent and the abilities of the people around her.
That's right. It's amazing. Okay, let's take a break. We'll come right back.
Hey, stay with us. We're having a good time on Simply the Law. Gary C. Johnson will return right after you see this.
Eastern Kentucky, southern West Virginia, and southwest Virginia. It can be a tough territory to reach when it comes to marketing. We can help. We can also help you find your identification. And we have plenty of services to do it and a lot of experience behind us, over 37 years. In fact, we've either booked or sold nearly $70 million in advertising in this region. You need a new voice, a new idea, a new concept? Casebolt Marketing. We're ready to go to work for you today. Our motto is nothing happens until you make it happen. So let's get started today.
Welcome back into Simply the Law. I got to tell our friends something. For years, Gary has told me, Keith, don't worry about watching a television show. Watch people. People are the most fun and interesting thing in the world. And he's encouraged me, ask questions, notice people, observe people. And it has become now a passion that I enjoy watching human interaction and all the things that you're talking about. Mm-hmm. It is really fun.
My friends, do you do that now? Do you entertain yourself with the reality show of life? Greatest reality show ever. See, you got some simple rules to go by because you've watched the program, right? You know not to criticize, condemn, and complain. You know not to take anything personal, right? Yeah. You know not to assume anything, right? You know to do only the best you can do, not worry about the best someone else can do. And you know to the extent you can, you know to be impeccable with the word. What skill do you know about the 24-hour rule? And you know human nature is human nature. You know about the craving to be important. And you get to watch. And it's amazing. And I'll bet you that you, my friends, every day get a chuckle out of watching somebody break one of those rules. And that chuckle may be on you.
What I get as I'm listening to you, that was the social intelligence that you're talking about. It's the emotional intelligence that you're talking about. And here you're looking at someone who may have that high IQ intelligence, and you're thinking, oh my goodness, you just broke all the rules. You just criticized, you just condemned, you just complained because you don't know this information.
Well, you know, you're talking about lawyers. I've got one of the attorneys in my office is in Mensa, and Mensa is in that genius organization with that very high IQ. But if you go into his office, there'll be sticky notes everywhere. Because the good Lord gave him all that intelligence, but he wiped out most of his short-term memory, evidently, because there's sticky notes everywhere. And it's amazing the difference, and I've learned over the years to put in my office somebody with each and every one of these intelligences we're talking about, at least one lawyer. And when I interview them and talk to them and hired them over the years, that's what I've had in mind. Because they complement each other, and you'll never miss anything if you have all three intelligences covered. It's easy to miss it if you just have one. And I learned that over practicing law over the years.
So, Gary, this comes like a bicycle wheel with the spokes in it. Every time you get a lawyer, an employee, you're looking at them as being one of the spokes in the wheel that makes the wheel go round by doing what the good Lord gave them the gift to do, not what somebody else is doing.
That's one thing I've also observed over the years. You know, I have learned from making so many mistakes. I hope I've learned something from it. You never know what someone can truly do until you turn them loose and say, go do it. And you will be amazed at someone you think, well, they can't do this, they can't do that. They say, you know, I've got to do it, I've got to do it. It took me years to realize that if you get out of people's way and give them a goal, it is amazing what people, and I guarantee you some of you fall in, you think, you know some people that you think can't do anything. I guarantee you. Has anybody ever put them in a position to where they could really see what they could do and got out of their way? And it is amazing what people can do. It's amazing what the people in my office do, from the front desk receptionist all the way up, simply by me getting out of their way and letting them do and giving them the responsibility to do it. And it is amazing, folks. And if any of you are in business, take that to heart, because let your people rise to the level they can rise to and get out of their way.
So you give them the freedom, but you also give them the backup of the support of saying, I'm here if you need me.
Right.
But I'm pretty certain you're going to figure this out on your own. But if you don't, I'm here for you. So that gives them the courage to go ahead and attempt to do the job.
We got one more break, let's take
I
it,
think
and we'll
we
come
do.
right back.
All right, stay with us. We're talking about life, which I guess a radio program is simply life, but this is simply the law. But on this edition, we're talking about life. Gary C. Johnson coming back after this break.
I'm Gary C. Johnson. I developed a method of representing my clients called judo law. Using judo law, Our team set the record for the largest personal injury verdict in the state of Kentucky. No other law firm has even come close. We've had several multi-million-dollar verdicts since then, and guess what? Now, most of our cases settle. If you've been hurt and you need money fast, give us a call, pound hurt.
Welcome back into Simply the Law. What I love about this program is you always talk about people being happier and enjoying the dash more. Mm-hmm. All the things that you've talked about on this program, even though they're challenging, they're not easy to do, but if an individual can adopt the things you're telling them and try to work on them, I promise you, you will have less stress and you'll smile and laugh a whole lot more.
Absolutely. I'm going to give you another example of what I was just talking about. I'm a hands-on person, and I try to get my nose in every single case in our office, whether it's in Lexington, Louisville, or wherever it is. I got my nose in it. And so I was sticking my nose in one the other day and decided I was going to do the deposition because it was an important case that I thought that I needed to do the deposition in. And I had had an attorney working on that case, Scott Owens, from the day one. Knew more about the case than anybody alive. And all at once something went off my head. I said, why would I go do this deposition when Scott could do this deposition? And I say to Scott, I said, you know more about it than I do? I'll never know as much about it as you do. Go do the deposition and be nosy. He did the deposition and did a fabulous job. A fabulous job. Probably a better job than I would have done because he knew more about the case than I did. So Scott, thank you. You did good.
And there is the empowerment again. Probably he worked harder and did more because you were putting the confidence and the trust in him to go handle it.
Well, he'd already been working hard on it, and he knew it, and he knew everything about it. And it finally dawned on me, even though I was dying to be the one to do that deposition. You know, I wanted to, that I needed to step back and let him do his job. And I was extremely pleased with the job he did. And so, see, even me, I'm still learning, folks. Isn't it amazing? Life's good. Be happy. Smile. That's it, smile. You can't be ugly if you smile. Do you know that? If you still got teeth. Exceptions every rule. You can't be...
My friend, what a fun show. What a fun show. A really fun show. Thank you all so much for tuning in. It's pretty easy to get in touch with Gary. It's GaryCJohnson.com or JudoLaw.com, which, by the way, I think it should be Judo Life because everything in life is now judo. On behalf of Gary C. Johnson, I'm Keith Casebolt. Thank you so much for tuning in. Gary and I look forward to seeing you again next week at the same time.
Thank you for watching Simply the Law, a program created by Gary C. Johnson. Until next week, may you be safe, blessed, and happy.